Hey, this is Peyton, and I'm ready to rant. And today I'm ranting about an all too familiar subject when it comes to my rants on this channel, because I'm ranting about a Mario movie, but not the first Mario movie, not the second Mario movie, not the third Mario movie. Today we are ranting about the fourth Mario movie, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And I must say, if there's one thing I don't like about the Illumination films, well, there's a bunch of things I don't really like about the Illumination Mario films, but if I could single out one thing in particular, I really don't like the naming convention they've gone with. The game title movie. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. It's very wordy, and it makes these movies very clunky to talk about, and they feel like fan films because you just slap the word movie at the end of a game name. Like, come on now. Anyways, yes, I wasn't even sure if I was going to see this movie in theaters, but I actually just went yesterday at the time of this recording, and now that I've had some time to sit on it and soak in other people's reviews and reactions to it, it turns out I had more to say about it than I initially thought I did. I wanted to share these thoughts with you guys. And so let's start at the very beginning, the first Mario Bros. Movie from Illumination, 2023. That movie I did not think was good, but I liked it. It had basically no plot, no characterization. It's a Mario movie made to look like the games. It's actually like seeing the Mario universe as it currently exists on the silver screen. And if nothing else, I appreciated that movie for doing that, because even though we had two films before that, both of which I've talked about, you can find the links to all these videos down in the description, maybe in the card in the corner. The thing is that these movies, they're generally not good, any of them. The 90s one is actually not too bad, but even the Illumination one, the first one, it's not good as a movie. Like, as a story, it's fine, it's passable, it'll keep your kids entertained. As a story, no, it's not good. And that's fine. That's not why I wanted to watch that movie. That's not really what I was looking for from that movie. I wanted to see Mario characters with cinema quality animation in something resembling a movie. I got that. I didn't think the movie was good. It was still entertaining for what it was. I think I have put it on like one time since then to see it again and just be like, wow, they really made this. Now they've made a sequel. They have made the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And the reason why I wasn't going to talk about this originally is I basically feel the exact same way about this movie that I did the first one. It's not a good story. It's not got good characterization, really. All the characters are basically the same, with the exception of one who I'll talk about in a minute. But basically, it's the first movie again, but it's a bit better. So the first movie, again, I would probably give a 3 out of 10 as an actual film. It's not good. It's just not a good movie. I enjoyed it for what it was. This movie, in my opinion, as a person talking into a microphone, is at least a 5 out of 10. It is actually a fairly significant step up in quality. The animation is even better looking than the first movie. I thought the first movie looked good, and this one just makes the first movie look a little bit worse by comparison, because there's just more settings our characters go to. There's more interesting visuals all throughout. There are some really gorgeous shots in this film. The new characters they introduce all look fantastic. Yoshi, Bowser Jr., all the new Mario races, which they introduced a ton of. They introduced a ton of characters from across the series for you to point at in the cinema and be like, oh, I know Birdo, I know Wart from Super Mario Bros. 2, which was actually Doki Doki Panic in Japan. But, nothing new there. That's what the first movie did. But it's just the scope of this movie being bigger made it more fun. The action scenes were more plentiful and even better executed than the first film. There was just everything that made the first movie something that somebody may like. They just turned it up another notch in this movie, and I liked it more because of that. Do I think this movie is good? No. It's still not good. It's a 5 out of 10. The reason I like it is because I am a massive Mario nerd. That's just who I am. I love the Mario series. I love so many of the games. I can't even list them all. And this movie managed to deliver an experience that was superior to the first film, being a fan of the Mario series. In fact, this film really, like, even more than the first one, like, this movie expects you to know the story of the first one, or else there are elements of this movie that won't make sense, like why Bowser is shrunken down in his castle at the start of the movie, like when he finally appears. But this movie also really leans harder into the hardcore Nintendo / Mario audience. Like, they really expect you to understand what, like, an ice flower is. They expect you to know what the one drill power-up, the drill shroom it might be called, whatever it's called, from Super Mario Galaxy is and how it works. There is a lot of prerequisite knowledge they want you to walk into this movie with to get the most out of it. And that's nothing new from the first movie. They definitely expected you to know some of the basics of Mario because they don't stop and painstakingly explain everything to you. So I say all of that to say that I like this movie just because if you like the first movie, this movie is just a better version of that movie, in my approximation. Because it's an Illumination movie. They're not going to suddenly put out some piece of art that stands alongside Pixar's golden years. It's not like you're gonna get Ratatouille, but with Mario and Luigi jumping around the screen. It's not going to happen. And that's fine, because the response from everybody seems to be about what I thought it would be. Critics hate it. Fair enough. I didn't think the first movie was good. This movie's still really not good. It's just better than the first one, which that is not a particularly high bar to clear. That is a jump any of us could make. But audiences are enjoying it fairly well, at least from what I'm seeing. Like, on Letterboxd, the movie is actually averaging a 6 out of 10, which, you know, it's nice to see that at least the common folk are enjoying this film a little more than critics are. And the thing is that, once again, I see both sides of the equation, but what really made me want to talk about this movie is something interesting I saw. I watched a few reviews now that I've had a day to kind of let my opinion sit and kind of, you know, solidify now that I know what I think. Like, I like how Bowser Jr. is portrayed in the film. He's a perfect mix of being this bratty little pain in the neck and also being Bowser's son, and you get to see their relationship. You know, all the original cast members return and reprise their roles very well. Actually, Anya Taylor-Joy in specific, I've got to give props to, because I noted she was the only cast member that I didn't really think fit the character very well. I wasn't in love with her as Peach, but I actually liked her a lot more in this film. Rosalina, I think, is excellent. I love Brie Larson in the role as her, which surprised me, but she does a great job. Donald Glover is Yoshi. It's Yoshi. He's basically a Pokemon. He only says his name, but, you know, he does a halfway decent Yoshi impression for what it's worth. And it's just nice seeing all these new characters, how they're integrated. If I could complain about one thing, don't worry, I'm going to get back to the point I was at, but if I could complain about one thing in specific, spoiler alert, by the way, I don't think I've really touched on too many spoilers up to this point. I hope not, at least. Nothing that's too crazy. But this is officially your warning. Spoilers from here on out. The thing is that at one point, Peach and Toad are going on their way. They're trying to find... the story is so loose, but... The story is so loose. The story is basically non-existent in this movie. But they're trying to get somewhere to meet up with Mario and Luigi and Yoshi. The thing is, Peach and Toad go, and they find this little, like, casino area, which is absolutely beautiful. But anyways, this casino area where there's, like, all the Mario 2 bosses hanging out. You got Birdo, Mauser, and Wart. And, I'm not sure who Wart is played by. I actually have the casting here. Let me scroll down. Wart, where are you, Wart? Luis Guzman? Louis Guzman, I'm not sure how to say his name. That actor does a phenomenal job as Wart, and I actually really liked his screen presence. And the thing I will complain about, if I could complain about any one thing with the story specifically, is that they kind of make it seem like Wart's gonna come back again later. Like, Peach confronts him, they have a fight, Peach beats Wart, she's like, oh, tell me where to go. And then as they leave, Wart's like, oh, I'm not gonna let her get away with this. And then we see Wart getting in touch with another villain later on, and then he just kind of vanishes. Wart never comes back in the plot, which really, really stinks. Of all characters, I mean, it was gonna be cool to see Wart. Like, I'm like, Wart is in this movie? Oh, that's gonna be neat. But it's like, if I could make any one story complaint, it'd be that he never really came back in the plot, even though they kind of implied, oh, we're going to be seeing Wart again. And, you know, that's kind of my complaint, because it's a spectacle thing. It would have been cool to see Wart return. And to loop way back to where I was going with this, I'll probably have more to say about the movie itself then. The thing that's interesting to me is that I saw a few reviewers talk about this film, like LS Mark, I think I saw Captain Midnight's video. I saw a few others. And the thing that's interesting to me is specifically people who were either indifferent to or somewhat enjoyed the first movie saying that they didn't like this one. Now, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I'm not saying these people are wrong, but the thing that's interesting to me is that I don't really understand how you can like the first movie and think this one is worse, because ultimately, this plot is just as bad as the first movie. I mean, I know how scenes connected vaguely. Can I tell you why they were connected specifically? No. It's not a good movie. It's just not a good movie. And that's fine. I like it for what it is. But it's just very interesting to me that people, like, enjoyed the first one, who genuinely were like, oh, it was okay for what it was, said this one was worse. And I can't wrap my head around that, because at this point, you know, when I paid for my ticket to go in and see it, I knew what I was getting. I knew that I'm like, this is Illumination. They got a smash hit with the first film. They're not going to suddenly go and give us a deep, in-depth analysis of Mario and Luigi's brotherly relationship and how that connects with their friendship with Toad and why they all think that Bowser's a terrible person, blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying that kids' movies shouldn't try harder than the Mario movies do. They absolutely should. What I am saying is that if you liked or even thought the Mario movie was passable, how you can think this film, which for all intents and purposes just does the things that the first movie did well, but better, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, because basically this movie did exactly what the first film set up. It's gonna be spectacle over everything else. It's gonna be, oh, do you know this character, over everything else. And you know what? For what it's worth, I think the Mario Galaxy movie does a pretty good job at that. It's really fun to watch as a fan of the series. Does that mean it's good? Again, no. I will say that pretty outright. I'll say that more firmly than I did for the first one, just because of the spectacle of seeing the first Mario movie for real. Seeing an animated Mario movie that looked like the games. Did I think that movie was good? Absolutely not. Do I think this one's good? No, I don't. But do I understand the perspective of somehow enjoying the first one and then coming to this one and being like, this is actually worse? I can't do that. I personally do not understand what you were expecting to change with this film. It was going to be what it is, if it managed to be this good. The unfortunate reality is that Nintendo and Illumination are two companies that are very clearly not interested, for the most part, in telling deep, emotional, complex stories. And they basically confirmed that's not what these Nintendo movies are going to be with the first one, and it has now been solidified with this one. And I just say all that because it's just really interesting to me. I guess I'm not necessarily defending this movie because I don't think it needs defending. The box office is already over the budget. It hasn't made double the budget, so, they still got to make all their money back. But the thing is that these movies are going to do just fine. They're probably going to continue for a while because there's a massive Nintendo audience who wants to see them. I think the reason I talk about all this is just because if you don't like what these movies are, do not support them anymore. Because I almost didn't see this because I am really kind of done with Nintendo as a company right now. I'm always going to love the series and the games and everything, but ever since the whole Palworld situation where they're trying to copyright the mechanics of summoning creatures into battle to fight for you, even though they weren't even the first video game series to do that. Obviously, I'm talking about Pokemon here versus Palworld, which is an indie game. I've kind of just stepped away from the company with that and the price gouging they're doing with the Switch 2, and it's a whole thing that I haven't really talked about because I know Nintendo is still successful and they're going to keep existing. By giving them money to see this movie, I have basically allowed them to keep making these movies. I've said this is okay. And I realize I'm talking about a lot of different things here all at once, but even as somebody who is not as big of a Nintendo fan now as I used to be, the reality is, if you walked into this sequel having seen the first one and expected it to magically be a much better film, that is fully on you, because this movie was never going to be that. Am I saying it shouldn't have been better? No. It would be great if this was a real story in a movie. It would be great if they had a real story to tell with these characters. But unfortunately, they don't, and that's not what these movies are. What they are is a setup for a Nintendo universe that they are clearly building towards, because also in this movie, much to my surprise, because thankfully I avoided as much promotional material for it as I could, they had Fox McCloud show up. From Star Fox? They had him, and he piloted a ship that they all had to ride on to get to Rosalina's, what do they call it? Whatever, her spaceship. I can't remember what it's called. The Comet Observatory. There we go. I got it. But yeah, they all had to fly to that thing on that. Or actually, they flew to Bowser Jr.'s planet that he makes because Bowser always told him a story about how they deserve their own planet. It's a lot. Again, it's just, this movie is basically action set piece after action set piece. And they really lean into that by bringing in Fox McCloud, and they also have cameos with Rob in this little spaceport, who basically does a twist on the Zootopia sloth bit, where he turns really slowly like the real-life toy based on Rob does. It's all very cute and fun. And Mr. Game & Watch appears. That was hyper unexpected when Luigi steals Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush and he draws a little figure to fight for them, and it's Mr. Game & Watch, and it's literally like Smash Bros. Gameplay for a second as he fights Dry Bowser. Like, if what I'm saying doesn't sound appealing to you, I guess all I'm saying is, to the people who thought this was a significant step down from the first movie, all of this could have been garnered from the trailers. The first movie basically gave you everything in the trailers, and I fail to understand the reasoning in thinking that, oh, this movie is going to be much more than the first one was, when the trailers for this one, from what little I did see, look a lot like the first movie again. And I could keep going on about the film itself, but essentially, you've heard the long and short of it. I mean, Rosalina gets kidnapped by Bowser Jr. so they can build a planet. The Mario Bros. Meet Yoshi early on. He becomes a main member of the team, even though he's not even a real character. It's not a story. It's basically a very, very pretty cutscene with a little dialogue that, like, the Mario games could very easily do if they wanted to in them, but because they don't, it's cool to see it in a movie. And that's basically where I'm at. Like, with this movie, it was better than the first one, in my opinion, by every measurable metric except for story, which is no better or worse than the first one, and the humor is still terrible. I don't know how people find Illumination films funny. Maybe the first Despicable Me is good, still have not seen it, but yeah, in terms of their general wheelhouse, like, I do not understand these movies' comedy. It's just so on the nose. There's a few, like, I think I laughed like 2 times, but like that's it. These are not good comedy writers they have working at this studio. But I could keep going on about it, but that's really the long and short of it. I just really had a lot to say about people who actually seem to enjoy the first movie, but for whatever reason didn't click with this one, especially because of the story, which is just interesting to me. And I also wanted to make this video because this is probably going to be the last Mario movie I cover. Like, there's a chance I'll talk about the next one if it does get made, if they make another Mario one before hopping to the Star Fox movie or whatever. But I mean, barring like a Pikmin movie, there's just not a lot to talk about with these films. And that's the reality. They are very clearly, very broadly reaching, aimed at very young children, not trying to challenge you, not particularly interested in telling an interesting story. Films. They are just Mario in a movie, which is really the harshest thing I could say about them. They're not good movies. They're not good stories. And to all of that, I'll agree. It's just the whole concept that somehow this is in any significant way a step down from the first film, when really this is more of the same, but on a bigger scale. And for that, I enjoyed it again. And I think that for what it was about as good as it could reasonably be. And there's really no higher level I think the Illumination Nintendo format can go as it currently exists. Because even when Fox McCloud was on screen, like, basically he is, like, written in the exact same voice as everybody else. He's a little more cocky, a little more sure of himself than anybody from the Mario side, except maybe Bowser. It's just 2 very different types of sure of themselves. But the thing is that it's just going to be this style again and again and again with these Nintendo Illumination projects, as far as I can tell. So, barring, any other movie that truly interests me, like a Pikmin movie, I would absolutely go see because I love Pikmin, and I appreciated the tiny little Pikmin cameo in this movie, even though there was no Captain Olimar, but you know what, I guess beggars can't be choosers. But unless they do that, or maybe a Luigi's Mansion movie, I'm kind of good with these films. Like, I've enjoyed both of them for what they are, and this movie in specific, I don't really see how you could take this formula and elevate it without making me actually care about these characters. This film had the Bowser Jr. Bowser relationship, which was undoubtedly the most depth any of the characters in this movie had. I really liked seeing those two play off each other. In the first movie, we had Seth Rogen Donkey Kong and Mario's relationship and how they were kind of like picking on each other rivals, which, I think the Bowser Jr. Bowser stuff was handled very well. I think that relationship is still the peak of these movies. Just seeing how those two are so annoyed with each other was really fun. And by the way, no Seth Rogen Donkey Kong in this movie. Not even a visual Donkey Kong reference. The closest we got is right at the beginning. The Lumas are throwing barrels as DK. Donkey Kong doesn't even appear. Why? Where's DK? I need the Seth Rogen laugh from Donkey Kong's mouth in my life again. But in all seriousness, these movies are just kind of done to me now. I'm like, you know what? We got the absolutely bonkers, insane retcon / reveal for the movies, I don't know what you call it, that Princess Rosalina and Princess Peach are actually sisters, which, Matt Pat, you almost had it right. They are very closely related. It's just, they're not mother and daughter, they're sisters. But, I mean, genuinely, at this point, I'm like, there's really not a lot more they could do to surprise me. Like, what are they going to do? They're not going to have Gino pop up in the movies. I'm sure of that. I'm sure Gino as a cameo isn't going to happen. And, I mean, it's just going to be more of the same with these films, which, again, is probably the biggest detriment I can give it. Like, even though this movie was a step up from the first one in my eyes, there's just not a lot higher they can go in terms of quality. It's like, this is it. It's just fun for the runtime. It's like, oh yeah, it makes me think of the games, and now I kind of want to go play them. And, you know, these movies are ads. That's not shocking. They are designed to make you want to go and buy Nintendo products and play Mario games. But that's just sort of it, I guess. They're just movies that exist to entertain very young kids and people like me who are obsessed with Mario and Nintendo stuff. And with all of that said, I think that's the long and short of it. I kind of glazed over the movie itself and talked around it because really the discourse around this movie is more interesting to me than the film itself. The film is fun. It's fine. It's nothing you need to see. If you're a massive Mario fan, you've probably already seen it. You don't need me to tell you to go watch it because you want to see Mario stuff in a movie. You will go see it. To anybody else, certainly if you didn't watch the first movie, don't watch this one because you need to know the first movie to understand everything about this one. And if you didn't like the first movie, there's like a 2% chance this one will win you over because a lot of people who even thought the first one was okay apparently like this one less, which, you know, I don't know what the average critic audience scores for the first movie were. I know this movie's like a 40% with critics, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't really pay attention to those scores. I'm just trying to give context. But yeah, it's another Mario movie. And, you know, when the post-credits stinger, the very last scene at the movie is teasing Princess Daisy showing up, what are we doing? Princess Daisy. Okay. Like, where are Waluigi and Wario? Like, they clearly are just doing what they're doing. No Koopaling showed up. I mean, the fact that Wart was in this movie, I imagine that was more Illumination than Nintendo pushing for that. Because, hey, they're clearly Mario fans working at Illumination, which is why the score to this movie was so fantastic. Like, the score to... I really like the score to the first movie. This one might have been even better. Good job, Brian Tyler. I know you are the GOAT at composing these movies because they sound so good hearing these re-orchestrated versions of the game's soundtracks. But that is everything I think I have to say about the Super Mario Galaxy movie and around the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Did you see it? Did you like it? Did you see the first one? Did you think this movie was better or worse than the first one? And if you thought it was worse, genuinely, I would like to know why, because I haven't been able to quite make sense of that logic. But regardless, I think this will be the last Mario movie I talk about unless the next one, you know, includes somebody I never thought they'd include. But barring that, I'm pretty much tapping out of the Illumination Nintendo Cinematic Universe. Let me know what you think of this movie. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Payton, and I'm done ranting.